Okay. I'll just leave that there. Afternoon, everyone. Let me just check. Clicker next. That's good. Right. First of all, sorry to the room up there, and sorry to the stage manager. Yeah, I'll try not to be late next time, if there is a next time. It should be good. Right. So, what are we here to do today? So, first of all, as said, my name's Michael, Global Head of Automation at Acast. So what I'm here to do today is to talk to you about podcasting growing up. Now, there's a lot of growing that's going on in podcasting at the moment. We've had some brilliant talks, I know, earlier today from various different companies who are either creating branded podcasts in the space or who are running ads or doing sponsorships, things of that sort, host-read. So I'm going to stick to a fairly specific area, or in fact, three particular areas, really. So, a little bit about Acast. Hopefully some of you in the room will know a little bit about us. But we are a 360-degree podcast company. So what that means is that we host, develop, distribute, and monetize for a huge number of podcasters, both publishers and creators out there. So if you guys look at this is a bit like one of these Bezos moments. Our co-founder specifically designed the A like this because we're attempting to represent the three important parts of the podcast ecosystem: the creators, the listeners, and the advertisers. So we're attempting to be the underpinning for the entire system. And that, in a sense, comes from when we were founded back in 2014, and we invented dynamic ad insertion for podcasting. So a little bit on numbers before we sort of launch into the meat of the presentation. We are the number one podcast company in the world today. I guess everyone says leading or number one, don't they? But we do have 47,000 shows who are currently with us, which is pretty significant, really. We are a Swedish company, yet another Swedish audio tech company. There must be something in the water, I guess. But our position in Europe is pretty strong, but we're growing in other parts of the world. And it's really interesting to see, the US has been a real stronghold for podcasting, but APAC is now becoming really big as well. So we're stretching our limbs out there as well. We're in 15 different markets from where we support all of our creators. So really important thing for us to say, not just about Acast, but about podcasting itself, is we consider ourselves the home of podcasting. And that's because we are a creator-first strategy, or focus, if you like, focused on the open RSS podcast distribution system. So, it is worth thinking about a little bit. It is really, really important. Podcasts should be distributed widely and freely. They should not be held into, specific environments, if you like, in our view at least. And what that means as a platform-agnostic business is that it's all about the listener. So whilst we're creative first, we want to make sure there's as much choice for listeners as possible. They can listen to podcasts wherever they want. If it can take an RSS feed, then an Acast show can be sent through the RSS feed to it. Okay, just the last couple of ones on this. So these are some of the premium publishers and diverse publishers that host with Acast. They take advantage of those four elements that we offer. I'm sure there are many people in the room here who enjoy podcasts, and that you'll be enjoying some of the podcasts from these publishers. But equally, the great thing about podcasting is it's not just about the big publishers. It's about the middle layer of talent. It's about the influencers. It's about the bedroom podcasters. We're running an ad campaign at the moment, actually looking for a new generation of podcasters. And it says something along the lines of, if you've got something to say, you're a podcaster. So I'd love to see if there's anyone in this room who's thinking about starting a podcast. Definitely come and talk to me afterwards. We can help you with that. Okay. So this is what we're here to talk about. So we're here to talk about podcasts growing up. So first of all, there's some numbers. Thank you very much to the IAB and PwC. Obviously, podcasting is growing in terms of spends, but there's much more to it than that. When we think about where podcasting has come from, it's been around for a while, 2003, when The Guardian first coined that term. From that time, really, we've had podcasters who've been, they've been putting their ads, or they're baked in, as we call them. They've been recording an ad at the beginning. And obviously, that's something that couldn't be changed. Our dynamic insertion invention managed to change that. But since then, there's so much more in podcasting. There's these host-read ads, what we call sponsorship ads, dynamically inserted now. But there's also audio ads dynamically inserted. And also, branded podcasts, branded episodes, much longer work with podcasters within their craft for brands. And I think you've heard some of that today, actually, particularly from NatWest, who we've worked with a lot in the past. So, there's a lot of change in that space. There's a lot more formats available for a lot more different types of advertisers. Everything is available for the big brand budgets now, and those are some of the things we're going to talk about in terms of growth. So, I'm going to go out on a bit of a limb and say, what do advertisers want? So, focusing into this quite specific area of what advertisers want, i.e. execution to hard-to-reach audiences via supply like ours, we have these three here. So, efficient execution, measurement, and targeting. Obviously, there are loads more than this, but these are three that we really wanted to focus on. I wanted to focus on for this conversation. So, we've all seen this, the steady march of programmatic. Here we have it in display. On and on it goes. Marketers are looking for efficiency, they're looking for automation, they're looking for omni-channel view of their buying across multiple platforms. And what is more, we're seeing a drop in open market programmatic as well. And I mention that because of the way that we use programmatic at Acast. But that's display. So what about audio? So programmatic has come to audio, but just in a very small way, in much the same way it's come to, for example, digital out-of-home. A lot of the DSPs that I speak to regularly, at least the ones who weren't audio specialists, they are scrambling very quickly to catch up. I'd say audio is coming in behind digital out-of-home in terms of the focus for DSPs at the moment, but it is moving very quickly. And this is a survey from our friends at MIQ, which they ran last September, which looks at sentiment, really, I suppose, from a series of buyers, only 300 buyers, but across multiple markets, about what they're intending to do around programmatic audio. So it is growing. It's an important part of that omni-channel programmatic mix. So what about programmatic and podcasting? So this is where I'm going to be very proud indeed, and I hope you'll bear with me. Podcasting and programmatic are not good bedfellows at all. You'd be hard-pushed to find a digital channel that gives back less data than podcasting. So open market programmatic is completely out. But programmatic direct, such as PMP and PG, is very much available. And what we found by pushing it really hard with our partners, our ad tech partners, AdsWiz, is that there is demand out there for people to seek efficiency in their audio ad buying with podcasts as well. So, our strategy here is to make it as easy for advertisers to buy from us, either via direct or programmatic. 100% of our supply, all available either by those two. Lots and lots of DSPs now plugged into the SSP we use from AdsWiz, and we've seen an extraordinary growth, particularly in PG, which is amazing. It's taken a long time for PG to move to the fore in at least premium publishers and display, but we've made it happen very, very quickly indeed. So that's a real fast growth thing, and a lot of our advertisers are happy with that due to the efficiency opportunity. So secondly, beyond full funnel measurement. So as I mentioned before, at the start of podcasting, we're just talking about host-read ads. Now, it's pretty solid attribution, actually, because in that creative, as it were, you can have the host saying, this week the show's brought to you by, whatever show, whatever brand it might be, and here is an offer code for you. And you can see that down here, full funnel media ROI, in other words, attribution. So we've been able to do that okay, but not at scale in podcasting. But the change now is that clearly brand advertisers, and I'm sure many of you in the room are in that category, want all of this stuff. Obviously want sales. I wish I could promise you that, but we can give it a go. So what are we doing in podcasting? So we want to be as mature as all the other channels. So just to be clear, this is exactly what you'd expect as standard from display or video or whatever it might be. Podcasting is playing catch up. But again, our strategy here is to be platform agnostic. We want to make sure that we're giving you a professional service and that we're working with a number of vendors across not only attribution, but also brand lift as well. Now, you might have noticed there was a bit of news recently about a certain audio company buying some attribution companies. Well, the benefit of our strategy of working with lots of different measurement vendors, both attribution and brand studies, is that if someone decides to buy one of them, we can still work with clients. And we're not the only podcast company doing this, but we like to think that we have moved forward at speed with this. So finally, the third thing we talked about was targeting. So I'd like to put a big shout out to John Stoneman from Triple Lift for providing this. I was at an event recently and I've just nicked his slide basically. So I hope you all enjoy this as much as I am. So they ran a survey, down here you can see, to about 1,500 programmatic buyers around the world. And what they wanted to ask was, can you rank in order lowest to highest impact on ad receptivity and KPIs? And in these following destinations or locations, it came out effective targeting was the most important. Now, I know that's the case for programmatic buyers. I'm pretty sure that's the case for every buyer out there, basically. So what are we doing with this in podcasting? Well, for a long time now, advertising and podcasting, as you would find in a number of other emerging channels, has been contextual. And what we mean by that is very simply that your brief would be presented to our teams, and looking at the target audience, their interests, the environment and some of the sentiment that you want to bring to your messaging, we would say, well, we would suggest that you operate into the sports channel, or maybe it's lifestyle, or whatever it is. So what we've done now is we've massively enhanced this. So again, I should point out, this is not particularly groundbreaking in the world of media. I'd call out great companies that I worked with in the past, like Grapeshot, now part of Oracle, who started this whole wave, really intelligent, contextual, keyword-based targeting. It's just that we've now built our own for podcasting, and this is how we do it. So we are using a transcription partner to transcribe all of our podcasts in 6 different languages into audio files. And then the solution that we're borrowing, if you like, we're working with IBM Watson, natural language processing in order to map and score. And that leads to several different features that we have released this year. Now, the first of these is all under the umbrella of conversational targeting. It's standardization via IAB categories, but there's other benefits to this as well. So if you imagine for a second you book a campaign with us targeting the sport contextual segment, your advertising opportunity is on a show level, okay? What this is, though, is on an episodic level. So in this particular example, we have the brand Talkspace. Very, very important brand, I'd say, at this moment, given how crazy the world is. And what we have is we have a podcaster, the Naked Beauty podcast, and you can see she's talking a great deal about stress. She's talking about anxiety, worry, and so forth. Now, what's great about this is that we are finding ad opportunities, not just in an entire show, but in a moment of conversation. It's great for UX. As you're listening to this podcast, your mind is focused on this particular topic, on the worry, the stress that she's feeling. And because Talkspace have decided to target Tier 1 medical health, Tier 2 diseases and conditions through to mental health, they're able to target you at that very moment. I mean, in a way, I think of it as serendipity. It's a beautiful marriage of ad creative and a moment in a conversation that rings really true. I think a lot of people talk about authenticity, and I try not to use that word too often, but this does feel like quite authentic advertising. Now, just to finish this off, I'd say we're releasing another couple of options from this as well, which will be keyword, which again, you're used to with display on websites and video and so forth, but also sentiment as well. The thought that you can target a moment in a podcast conversation which is happy or sad or reflective. The opportunity for your creative agencies to play with that is absolutely extraordinary in my view. Clearly, it's privacy safe, but the real thing I think is that it's enormously apt. And because it's at an episodic level, the scale is enormous for our advertiser clients. So, just to finish it up then, as I said, podcasting's growing up. It's interesting this really, because I'm talking to all of you guys in the room. You are no doubt running across multiple channels where some of this stuff already exists. But really for podcasting, this is pretty groundbreaking stuff. And the reason you'd come to podcasting, as I'm sure you've heard earlier, is because of the relationship between the podcasters and their audiences. It is super, super engaged. So if we can give you these efficiencies, if we can give you these measurement opportunities, trusted third parties now introduced into the space, more importantly, the trusted third party that you wish to use rather than that we wish to use. And then finally, if we can offer you targeting that is now conversational, that brings your ad creative right into the middle of a conversation, which it wouldn't have had a hope in hell of getting into through standard media planning until now, hopefully what we can do is deliver against your campaign KPIs. So that's it from me. Thank you very much for your time this afternoon. And as I said, if you are thinking about starting a podcast, you can think of Acast, and do come and have a chat to me afterwards if you'd like to talk more about it. Thank you.